Hi everyone, welcome back to episode 7 of the Soulful Stories podcast. Today we're going to continue on with the Q&A that we did in the last episode because there was that many questions, there just simply wasn't enough time in the video to complete it. So, over to Scott.
Hey guys, welcome back obviously, and with us also is
PPO.
So we're going to carry on with your questions because like I do have loads and I like to ramble on. Kind of just going to quickly touch upon some of the clairvoyants because last time I didn't know them all, and it also answers the do you see spirit question that a lot of people of you ask. So to see spirit you need to be clairvoyant. See, I've got to write down and I still can't get it right. Clairvoyant is where you see spirit. Clairaudient is where you hear spirit and sounds from spirit. Clairsentient is you feel the pains and the energies, and you're kind of like a bit of an empath. And claircognizant, I can't say that word.
Cognizant.
Yeah, there you go. Is you get the...
It's like hints.
Yeah, it's like when they just drop it in your head.
I think that's what I am, because that's where I...
That's how I work. That is probably the main one that I am. It's just kind of they give you hints and bits and pieces, and then
it's
it
like,
just comes out your mouth.
Coffee, biscuits, tea, coffee.
Yeah, and I'm definitely clairsentient because I feel the pains and energies. So, again, I personally don't see spirit as a human form. Sometimes they will give me energies, as in they will kind of make me feel how they were, their height, how they looked. But it's not like I can honestly say I've ever seen a spirit in front of me. The only time that I've seen anything like that is when you go into meditation. But again, meditation is a bit different to working spiritually. But I definitely feel their energies with the breathing, as you've seen in the TikTok lives and stuff.
Yeah.
And then the knowledge is just obviously what they give to me is the claircognizant. I ain't going to try and say that again. So, yeah, I just wanted to just quickly touch upon that because I didn't know them all. I know how I work, but I know a lot of you guys like to have a little bit of different input.
Cognizant.
Yeah. And a lot of you do seem to ask, this is the next question because we just answered that one, is do I believe in reincarnation? And my answer simply is yes. I do believe that we come back, we can choose to come back as many times as we want. We come back as the same energy, as the same spirit. It'll just be, we could be black, we could be white, we could be a female, could be Chinese, could be Asian, and we'll experience what it's like in different lifestyles and different cultures, and that helps the body and the soul progress more in the spirit world. So I do believe in reincarnation. Do you believe, Bran?
I do. I was just going to ask, what about animals? Is that a thing, or is it more just you reincarnate into a human?
Again, if you ask different mediums, they'll tell you different things. For me, the seventh principle says that the human soul is open to eternal progression. So for me, the human soul, you've got to be human for me. So dogs, cats and birds, I don't really like to think that we can come back as them. Do I believe that we can send signs, with birds and butterflies? Most definitely. But it's just your nan or granddad or mum or dad saying, look, this is a symbol I'm going to give you to let you know I'm around. Yeah. It's not actually going to be them. I don't know about you. Do you believe in reincarnation, or do you have a different view?
Definitely. There's a few theories out there when you're a child, and you're coming back into the earth plane, that the white light at the end's you being reborn sort of thing. And you're screaming when you come out like the womb and that because you remember the trauma.
You remember
as you get older and grow. Yeah. You forget and you learn again.
Yeah. There is,
because think about it. If you've been dead fucking 300 years, you're gonna forget, are you?
Of course
you're gonna forget what it's like to scream and talk and shout, like use a proper voice. Because don't forget, spirit use vibrations. And that's why we have all our equipment, because it picks up on them vibrations. Imagine us, and then,
we're here,
the
spirits up here, or they can be down here, depending on how their energies are. And that's why it takes a lot out of you when you do mediumship, because sometimes you have to raise your vibrations a little bit to match them, and then some are lower energy, so you have to lower your energies and you up and down with your energy. So it's a lot of mental energy that you use.
Definitely,
You know, people who sit at computers all day, you know, and doing numbers and stuff, and then, you know, your mind is tired and it makes your body feel tired, and that's pretty much what spiritualism is like. It's like sitting at a computer, but even if you only do it for an hour, it's like sitting there for 4 or 5 hours in one go. So yeah, I do believe in reincarnation, but just to answer your question, I don't think, me personally, you ask another medium and they'll have a different opinion, and that's fine. For me, you've got to be a human. I can't see us coming back as dogs and cats and frogs. Some people do believe that you can come back as flowers and grass because it's a living thing. I think you're kind of taking it a little bit too far there, because yes, it's a living thing, but it's not a human soul. And for me, it's in the text, it's in the writing. But, you know, I'd love to say, people say, look, you're wrong. That's perfectly fine. I don't mind. You know me, I'm all for people's own opinions, but I do think that you have to be human from me. And then another one that I get is deja vu. Now, this is where we go down a rabbit hole. I'm a big believer in, you know, there's other life out there. I'm a big believer in aliens and UFOs. I do love my conspiracy theories a lot, like you. I know you do.
I want to do a conspiracy episode.
So
one of the days.
I won't go too far in it because, again, if you want something like that, I'm happy to oblige. Because again, Area 51, and the Dallas airport, and the other airport with a horse on. I can't think of its bloody name now. But yeah, where the aliens were supposed to be took in the underground base.
All day.
Yeah, so we won't go too far, but I believe that we are kind of living in a parallel universe. So there's like, there could be 5 of us, there could be 10 of us, there could be 100 of us, and we're all living side by side, and we're all kind of retracing the same steps in this life.
Yeah.
And one life could be 40 minutes in front, one could be an hour in front, one could be 4 hours behind, and there could be one where we're doing exactly the same thing, and we just link in with them for a few seconds, and then we go, oh my god, I've been here before, I've done this before, and we've kind of linked into that life. To be fair, when I first come into spiritism, I did like to think that it was our past lives coming through, but we come here to progress and learn, so I don't see why we'd be living the same life again, which took me down the rabbit hole of parallel universes and living the same life but at different times, and we're doing different things. Otherwise, if you stop and think about it, you know, crossing the road and getting hit by a car would be a lesson, and then crossing that road and not doing it would be a lesson. And if you did that over and over again, it'd take you millions and millions of years to learn every single lesson. So I do believe that we do kind of live the same lives but in different times, and that's where it comes from. I don't know, what do you reckon?
Yeah.
Sorry, you got to talk as well. We need that thing. Wow, wow, wow. Sorry, we're having a bit of a play around as well.
Deja vus. It's one of them. I think it's only parts of your past life that you have deja vus about.
Okay.
So you might have done those things in another life, because you're still progressing anyway in every life. But I think there's some things that you did in the past life
that you've done in this one.
And you'll do it and you think, wow, that's deja vu. I feel like I've done it again. You probably have.
And then the question that I get up followed after that is, am I learning or am I making the same mistakes? And that's where you go down a completely another rabbit hole, because that's not for me to answer. That's how it makes you feel at the time. Did it make you feel like you'd progressed? Or did you kind of think, oh man, what am I doing here again? Why have I done this again? And for me, it's that gut instinct that makes you feel if it's right or wrong.
Yeah. That's kind of my take on it as well. I would take deja vu as like almost like a caution that something's going to happen. If it was bad, then it kind of warned you from being aware, you know, just in case it happens. Yeah, that's kind of my take on it.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
No, it makes complete sense.
Yeah.
There's a few times, like the last week, after I had that week off and coming back, I've been talking to some of the guys in there. I just kind of think, freaking hell, this is deja vu. I've done this before.
And it could be the most stupidest of things.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we've done this before. And I've been talking to Liam, and he'll be on about something. And I'm like, you've literally told me this. And he genuinely hasn't. It's just deja vu. You get that feeling.
Yeah.
And it's so weird. And I think it's just one of those things that will never scientifically be explained.
No.
No.
I don't think it'll ever be proven.
No. And again, it's not for us to know. That is a life's lesson of learning, and we'll only find out when we cross over to the spirit world.
Yeah.
What I was just going to quickly talk about is, do you want to talk about the Mandela effect?
Absolutely, yes. Welcome to the Conspiracy Corner.
Is it the Mandela effect?
Absolutely.
You know, deja vu. Is
I
it Mandela
am
effect?
25 years of age, and I like a Kit Kat, right?
Yeah.
You're telling me, is it with the hyphen or without?
I've never known it with a hyphen.
Never mind.
All my life, I feel like it's had a hyphen. Kit Kat.
No, it's just been Kit and Cat. That's it, never a hyphen.
Let me think of some more. God, there's loads.
What about that one where the guy lies down in front of the army trucks in Japan to stop him? Apparently that never happened.
Oh, I don't
They
know.
ran across the road and got him out of the way, but apparently not.
I don't know about that one.
And what about when Nelson Mandela died a few years ago? I thought he died 10 years ago.
Yeah, I thought he was dead.
Yeah, I thought he was already dead. I don't know that he died a few years ago, because
Yeah.
I remember seeing the big parade for him.
The Mandela effect. Is it Mandela or Mandela?
Mandela, I thought it was,
And
because
me,
it started
but is it
with
Nelson
the
Mandela?
Yeah, I thought that's how it started, with the Mandela effect. But anyway,
It really fascinates me, because I always think, how is it we all collectively think the same and it's actually something else? What is it that's making us think the same and we're all wrong?
yeah, the one, my God, is something about the Disney. Is it the Maniacs? There was one about the cartoon, and the guy got the video out and showed you that this is what it was, and then they changed it, and then they say that they didn't. I'll have to look for it, but
Yeah,
we'll definitely do a
Do a
conspiracy
full
thing.
podcast on that.
Yeah, because that'll probably be 3 hours long. But
Yeah.
some people love a
Literally.
really long video,
Oh, I love
especially
them.
if it's like entertaining and it's thought provoking.
It makes you see the world in different views
It
as
really
well.
does.
It really opens your eyes.
Yeah.
You know, the government, the media, they like to give you these rose-coloured sunglasses and put them on and see the world this way, but conspiracy theories really open your eyes.
Definitely.
What I will ask is if you can write in the comments is if you'd like us to talk about 9/11 as well, because for me that was an inside job. So I'm always happy to give
Just our
my
opinion.
thought. Yeah, again, these will just be our opinions, and if you guys are welcome to put in the comments what you think at the minute, and then I'm always happy if you're happy for us to put them in the video and be like, well, that's
Absolutely.
what this person thinks. That's what I kind of think as well. Like, I'll see this person's view, but I appreciate their validation. You know what I mean? I want to get you guys involved in the videos.
So what question are we on now?
We are going on to birthmarks, which again, for me, is...
I've heard a lot about birthmarks.
Again, it is very... Obviously, everything that we say is open to interpretation, because until we cross over to the spirit world, we won't know indefinitely. But I'd never been asked that question until somebody asked it me on TikTok, and I gave it as... it's kind of like a bit of trauma on your soul from your previous life that carries through. You've come back a little bit too fast. Your soul hasn't healed properly, so it leaves a mark on your soul. It could have been like from a shooting or a stabbing, you know, something that shocked the body, and you decided to come back, and it just left a birthmark. And where it is on your body is where it happened from previous life. And then people go, but let me speak.
Get your words out.
I know they're trying to jump in, that's why. My mum's got it, or my dad's got the same birthmark. That just shows you that you lived that life with them, and they also would have suffered that same trauma. So it could have been from a mugging, a robbery, house invasion, you know, or a car accident. It could have been anything, because I believe that me and my mom have lived many lives together, because the way that me and mom,
I think me and Brandon have.
we've, you know what I mean, you've just got that connection.
Why?
Because it's the banter that you can have, and it's the way that you
You've
love
never,
each other.
You've never said that before. Normally, it's get out of my face, I'm sick here.
But he still comes back and you still love each
He
other at
do.
the
I mean,
end
how many
of the
times
day.
have we had deja vus about stuff, Brandon?
Well, I always make a good point. This is kind of off topic, but we've always been local, like local area. My mum back in the day used to work at this chip shop, if you're not from around here.
Yeah, fish and chips.
Fish and chip shop. Anyway,
What's
Liam and his family used to go opposite the chip shop. There was a pub, and they apparently years ago always used to go in there, and they always used to go in this chip shop. And it was just ever so weird how we've never really crossed paths up until the day we met.
But you'd always been in each other's lives.
Yeah, and that always blows my mind, even with work colleagues, and you're like, bloody hell.
Is it a coincidence, or is there no such thing as coincidence?
Oh, absolutely there is. But there we
What
are
you
again.
think? What you think? There's coincidence?
Absolutely.
No, it's your love's drawn out, mate. You're destined to meet.
I think coincidences are, yeah.
No, it's destiny. But again, you see, is it welcome to his opinion or welcome to mine? It's like Locke and Jack from Lost. If
But
you
we
like
do.
the show,
I mean, we get
the show. The show.
We get mistaken for brothers all the time. So, hang on. Why do you think we've had past lives?
Right then, on to the next question.
Never mind.
No, we're still talking about birthmarks.
Birthmark, sorry, yeah.
And no, or did we move on?
No.
Now we're talking about birthmarks.
No,
So
it's
yeah,
today.
for me it's a trauma. And then, funnily enough, it got brought up at Circle a few weeks ago, because I stopped going. Obviously, I've just taken a step back.
Again.
I've just got to where I needed to, and I've got my confidence back, and TikTok had helped out with the confidence, so I didn't need to be there. I just enjoyed going there. But people on TikTok were missing me more and appreciated it more, so it was just easier for me to take a step back. I'm still doing events at the churches and stuff. I'll still ask if I can record and, you know, give you guys a bit more of a different content.
Can you?
But I don't know. I've got to find out. They put pictures on and everything of the mediums, so I think it'd be up to the table. But if I had the camera facing me, I could just, you know, point out that I'm going to a lady and giving them evidence or a gentleman. But most of the people at Bloxridge, they do like the way I work, so I don't think they would mind me recording. But again, something I'll ask. So, yeah, and then at Circle, somebody said the exact same thing that I'd said on TikTok a few nights ago, which was, it's a trauma on your soul. It's something that, you know, was shocking in your life that stays with your soul. And it's just a kind of reminder. But again, you ask somebody else, they might say it's just a mark that you get from a disformed birth. You know, it's totally up to people and what they want to believe. But I do think it's something that follows you through life.
Yeah.
And again, if it comes with a parent, you've obviously, again, for me, spent a lot of time with that parent, and in a previous life, it was a shocking event, and you've both come back. And for me, you've come back too fast, because it's still there, it hasn't healed, it's left the mark on the human body. Because the soul never forgets. And which will move us on to another question, which is, do spirit heal, and do they remember? Well, once they leave this human body, the soul starts to heal. Obviously, if it's a traumatic thing, you know, and it's cancer and it proper weighs down the body, or, you know, COPD or anything that weighs the body down and keeps the energies quite low. Obviously, when you do pass over, your energies are going to be low. So it takes sometimes it can take a few months to heal, and sometimes they are ready to go and they are accepting of the spirit world, and they can come through within days. I won't say names. She'll put a name in the comments if she wants, because I don't really want to talk about people's business. But she just said, she came in the comments and was like, oh, my mum's just passed. She didn't tell me how many days or anything. And then she just happened to stand in next to me. And I just said, so she hasn't been in the spirit world long. I said, you know, within 4 or 5 days. I said, because she's telling me she's new, but her energies are already over there because she was open to the spirit world. And then she came through and said, yeah, it's only been 2 days. And I went, she's telling me, do not buy them pinkly purple flowers that you're looking at. I said, because she's worth more than that. And then she said, literally, oh my God, I was looking at pink purple flowers earlier for her. And I went, well, she's just giving you clarification. She doesn't like them.
That would literally be me.
So, it can happen that fast. Sometimes it can take months. Sometimes it can take years. And again, and this is something that, other mediums won't tell you. They'll go, oh, we haven't got the right energy. Your loved one just doesn't want to come through. And I don't want to upset you, but I want to be honest with people. We cannot force your dad, your uncle, your nan, your auntie, whoever you want to come through if they don't want to.
Absolutely.
They still have got the free will over there. So, again, I don't want to upset anybody, but that's the truth. And which is why we always say, please don't just want that one person, because that one person that you want, regardless of what they've said here on the earth plane, once they get over there, they can change their mind and be like, you know what? I don't want to go through, actually, or I don't want to come through and tell them that thing.
I think this is the issue with, I'll call it transactional mediumship.
Yeah.
All over TikTok, where them like, send this, send that, and I'll give you a reading. They're kind of guaranteed to have to give them anything. And it's one of them, like you said, they don't always step in. If they don't step in, then just giving them a load of BS.
Yeah.
And I find it really frustrating. And you see it all on your profile and all on your For You page and everything.
Yeah.
What about when you do private readings? Have you ever had where you've gone and it's like, fuck, no one's here?
Yeah.
And what you have to do as a professional?
Luckily, I've had Carol there, and she's helped bring in the energies, which again is another reason why I am also a little bit scared to do private readings, because you never want to go to somebody and not connect with them. It makes them feel shit, you feel shit, but that's life, and you do have to accept it. And you guys on TikTok especially see how passionate I am, and I do always try and give you the best evidence that I can. And if I don't, it makes me feel shit, and that ain't just for the camera, that makes me feel shit. Sometimes I've come away from events because you get people who sit there and go, no, I ain't taking that, I don't understand it. And you think, why am I doing this? I don't want to leave feeling like I've disappointed you. And that is because of Lil and Carol, and I'm not slagging them off, but that is the passion that they put in me to make sure that, it's not about you, it's about them. You're the one that's giving them the evidence, and we understand that there are people out there that will just simply come and just go no, just because it's embarrassing, or they don't want their friends to know, or their family to know when if they're on the table. And then you do get them people that come up to you at the end and go, I could take some of that, but I didn't want, me mate to know that, this and that. And it's like, well, that's fine, but you've made me look like a complete and utter twat in front of them, and now you're coming up to me and saying, oh, I could take it. And it doesn't help with the way it makes you feel, because if you do care like what we did, we always made sure that we gave you a good message. And the one thing that we always ask you afterwards is, did you enjoy your message? Could you understand your message?
Yeah.
I don't you sitting there saying yes, 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 yes. If you can't, I'd rather you tell me now. And you will find a lot of mediums, they won't say to you, are you happy with your message? It's just, yeah, thanks for working with me.
Yeah,
and then they move
you
on.
believe in yourself and the spirit.
Yeah. So, again, I'm not saying names because I don't really want to start wars or words of wars, but just watch out for the mediums. You'll see the ones that are passionate and that they care about you and giving you the right evidence.
I think when you've come across someone genuine like yourself, it's really easy to spot the ones that aren't genuine.
Yeah.
Really easy. And this is coming from someone that I got a clue.
Yeah.
You can just tell, oh, I've got your tarot cards, yeah, we'll just pick one out. Yeah, this is obviously you because this is what I picked out. It's just a lot of crap.
It is.
With them. Just my opinion.
Yeah, there are a lot of people out there that are just on the wagon to try and make as much money as they can.
And it's a shame, to be honest.
And it is. And that's why I've kind of do what I do now to try and help show people, you know, I ain't the best. I know I'm not the best, but I try to give you what I can as evidence, and I'm a legit medium, and I know I am, and I'm happy and proud to say that I'm an independent, you know, legit medium. The thing's a little bit for an inside joke.
Leggy mate.
Yeah.
Ew.
Leggy mate.
Leggy mate. Oh, God.
Whatever.
Legit, Matt.
Legit, leggy.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm not legit, you see, according to some. Because, anyway. Medium shit.
Moving on.
Anyway, yeah. I'm not saying all card readers on TikTok are fake or anything.
No, absolutely not.
But you can tell the ones, you know, that sit there and shuffle the cards 19 times and wait for the card to fall out. But they've missed it where the cards have kind of flipped reversed.
Yeah.
That's your sign.
Yeah.
That's the card they want, not the one that falls out. If 3 or 4 cards fall out, you should give them cards, because that's the whole point of asking the question. Yeah. Regardless of if your rule is you only get one card tells you nothing.
I was watching one the other day, this woman, she got asked a question, she was like, let me answer that for you, love. I was shuffling the tarot cards. I'm not kidding you. 4 of them fell out, one after the other, and I kept saying, now, Spirit, answer the question. Now, Spirit, yes or no.
That's answering the fucking question, and that's where it gets me angry. It shouldn't.
Oh, my God.
And this is why you can't promise one-card readings.
No.
One-card readings are a load of shit. You know, if one card comes out and it's like the Ten of Pentacles, I don't know, because I don't know tarot cards, you know, and it might stand for, oh, this is a good card and it's giving you good luck. Well, what you do, thanks. What's that telling me? I've got a bit of good luck. Oh, okay. I'll go and put the lottery on, and if I don't win, then where's my good luck? You know what I mean? And that's not me being funny, but that's how people will interpret it. Oh, I've got some good luck coming.
Yeah.
You have to explain it.
Yeah.
And for me...
Here's a good one.
Go on then. Just watch out.
Have you given a non-believer something from information or a reading into something that they couldn't believe?
Funnily enough, and I'm happy for Brandon to show the message. I don't know what day we're on today. Friday. Thursday, I was on TikTok Live, and I didn't know she was a non-believer, but she kept putting in question, and I kind of asked Spirit, does she really need something? And they stepped forward, and I gave her a reading like I do for anybody else, and she could understand all the information, and I gave her something. I think it was purple roses or something like that. And, you know, I thanked her for working with me and carried on with the rest of the night. And then I finished, and then I've gone to bed, and then she's messaged me, and she said, I really cannot believe the evidence that you gave me. I'm a skeptic. And you gave me some words that we talked about that we would give when we get to the spirit world. She went, so you've blown my mind, and that's on the messages.
Yeah.
So I'll message her and say, can I use this as on a video, like, just to prove that, you know, the evidence that I gave was good.
Can we still access that?
Yeah, it's on my message. Some TikTok messages. The actual messages, you know.
Comments, like?
No, the message.
Oh, inboxes.
Inboxes, yeah. And, you know, I didn't get re-edit, and I'm happy for you to show the replies. I just simply put, you know, that's fantastic. I'm glad that, you know, she gave you that evidence, and the evidence you talked about was what she gave, because some people aren't that lucky, and I can never guarantee what the evidence is, you know. And she just said, yeah, that's fine, I just really appreciate it. So I've done it a couple of times, but that is the most recent one that I can remember. And again, the only other one that I can really say was not a non-believer, but she really didn't believe she was having a baby, was that I said to her, I've got a girl coming for you in the summertime, you're gonna have a child. And she laughed at me. She went, I'm never having kids. And then this was just like a pub event, so we were going around different pubs. I think we went back a couple of years later, and she came straight up to me, boom, oh my God. And I'm sitting there thinking, okay, what's the matter, what have I done?
I'm going to carry. I've gone deaf.
Literally. And she went, I remember you from a couple of years ago. And I went, okay. And I went, is it good or bad? She went, you told me I was going to be pregnant in July. And I went, okay. And she went, and now I've got a daughter that's 1.5.
Bloody hell, your fault.
That's exactly what she said to me. She went, I just cannot believe, she said, I was never having kids, and then come the 6 months after we'd seen you, I fell pregnant. And I went, well, I did kind of pre-warn you. She went, she was gobsmacked. So again, she wasn't a non-believer, but she just didn't believe in the evidence that was given to me that would happen if she wasn't careful. And again, if she would have played it careful, she wouldn't have got pregnant. And this is when I say that it comes to two tracks. They're giving you the pre-warning. If you don't want children, you better play safe, because if you don't, around this time of the year, we're gonna give the baby that's waiting to come. And I'll leave it there, because that leads on to other questions. But yeah, that I have given kind of skeptics that evidence, but I don't go out of my way to try and prove skeptics wrong. That is not what I'm here for. If they don't want to believe, that is their right. If they're going to challenge me and I give them evidence, I'll tell by the face reactions whether they're legitimate, can't take it, or they're just going to say no because I blew the fucking socks off. But like I say, that did happen to me and Carol once, thinking of it now. A gentleman at the pub was at the Horse and Jockey.
Like Chris's pub.
Yes, but it was the one way back where they used to give healing to Kelvin. And this man came in, he was drunk, and he slapped 20 quid on the table and he went, tell me something then. He said, I don't believe, he said, but I'm willing to listen. And we were going on, and me and Carol took it in turns, and he sat there and he was mind blown. And I shit, the hand on my heart, Spirit can take me away now. He put another £20 on the table and went, you can both have £20. He went, you've told me stuff that happened a few hours ago that nobody knows about. And he pointed to me and he went, you've just told me stuff that happened with somebody who's already passed to the spirit world that was personal between me and her. And he left gobsmacked. And again, it's nothing to me and Carol. We were just there to give readings if people wanted them. Never give us a big head, because I don't see the point, but it was nice validation that somebody came in who kind of didn't believe, but left thinking, okay, maybe there is a little bit something to it.
Yeah.
And that's all we ask, you're allowed to not believe.
That's the problem with it, because it's hard to show and give evidence.
Mm-hmm.
It's not scientifically really possible. Because, we've got all this equipment, and even people now are saying, oh, it's all bollocks and it's all science. And there's a chip in there that'll tell you these names and stuff. But, I forgot where I was giving this now.
It's alright, it'll come back to you.
But because it's not there in black and white, it's hard to believe.
Because it is.
I think as another thing as well is when people are asking for readings, they're not expecting what you're going to say. So what they're hoping for is, I don't know, my nan's going to come through, she's going to tell him that she's not in pain anymore, blah, blah, blah. When really he's going to hit him with, so this happened, and they're like, oh.
Yeah.
So, I think, they don't see it coming.
But that's, again, where it comes back to, you can't just expect one person to come through.
Yeah. Absolutely.
If you're sitting there going, oh, God, I want me dad or my mum to come through. It might not be your mum and dad. It might be, like, your great-great-nan, you know what I mean?
That's watched you grow up throughout the spirit
that
world.
You probably didn't even meet before she passed away, or, they passed away.
And that's why we always say, come with an open mind.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people think a reading is, oh, I'm going to go and see a medium, they're going to tell me about me, my loved ones, and that they're okay, and give me memories and stuff. That's old-time mediumship. And again, I'm not slagging off the old-time mediums, but that's how it was done back in the day. They give you little bits of what was going on, but mainly they're focused on your loved ones and what they were bringing through. Now, with today's mediumship, it's a lot more of, okay, give me evidence for what's happening now, so they can understand a little bit more, that they might not know you, but prove that you've watched them and looked after them and show me what's going on in their life.
Yeah.
And that's what today's mediumship's about. And again, I'll be honest, when me and Carol and Lil used to go out, we started to do it that way, but there was still a lot of old-time mediums that just worked with the energy and not with what was going on. So it's always a contrast in energies and principles and what you've been taught and learnt to give as evidence. There's never one set right way. It's just the way things change. But I'm glad it's changed for more proving that, I can give you evidence that what's happening in your life now. because, you know, everybody knows a Jim or everyone knows a Jean. You know, I know a lot of people like names. I'll shut up in a minute. But
I want to get a
names...
T-shirt with that on. I'll shut up in a minute.
I know, yeah, got to, and that one, yeah, no. A lot of people expect names, but names can be very generic, and everybody knows a Bill or a Will, and so unless it's a little bit of a peculiar name, I try to stay away from names. I'd rather you understand the evidence. You know, there's hardship around you at the minute. You know, there's a weight around your neck or whatever. And if there's any illnesses that they give me to pass on, as if to say, you know, your knees are hurting or you've got bad breathing.
Check.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you know, I'd rather give you that kind of evidence because that's personal to you, rather than going, okay, your Aunt Mary's here, and she's just kind of saying, you know, she remembers the good times. She remembers watching you growing up. She's giving you a 99 with a flake in. You know, who didn't have one of them? You know, that's generic information. If they give it me, I'll give it, but I'll try to get a little bit more out of them. But anyway, yeah. So I just enjoy working like that, to be fair.
So, question I've picked is, can you tell me about the 7 levels of the pyramid and spirit progression?
Now, are you sure you want this one answering?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to talk for about 40 minutes now. Okay. What we might have to do is do a bit of a visualisation as well.
I can put some pictures in anyway.
I don't know if you'll find anything, because this is just how I see spirits, so I'll draw it now, like as we're talking. But for me, it's like the pyramids. It's like the pyramid scheme, and you've got 7 levels. And your lower levels are like your basic, like passing over as a child, as a miscarriage.
Is this what you've come up with?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
This is what I feel the 7 levels are, because what we'll have to do as well is find the I know the 7 principles, but you've got to word them right, obviously.
Yeah.
But the 7 principles, so I always believe there's 7 levels within progression in life. And for me, the lower levels is like you're passing as a child, as a miscarriage or abortion, you know, passing as a toddler and choking, and you know, all the ways that toddlers die, and then up to about the age of about 9 or 10 is the lower level, and you start to experience, you know, passing it as somebody in Africa or something, you know, when diseases and stuff like that. And then if you want to then progress on, you move on to like your early teens to your late 20s. And then, you know, you'll pass in accidents, car accidents, stuff like that.
Who's the one that passed in a green jag? Bottle green jag?
For me,
Yeah.
that's just somebody in the spirit world that's a friend that sticks with me. His name's James. Or Jay, as he likes to be called.
I remember you maybe being younger and you're trying to figure this out.
Yeah, and he came through at what's it called actually, Stansted. I've never really spoke about him, but yeah, he died in a car crash. Yeah, he was only about 21, but he's a friend that I'd had in previous lives that he's kind of stuck with me. And again, I've had to learn through meditation and readings who he is and what he wants, and he just wants to be around me. So yeah.
He's sexy little beast.
So you're looking for your late teens here. I'll write it better, but I'll just write it down now so I can remember. So you're looking at your late teens to your early 20s. And it's just your life progression, you know, you drink, you do stupid stuff, fighting, and it's all about learning about becoming a better adult and going into young you know, having kids at a young age and stuff like that. And then your next one is your late 20s to your early 40s, and that's when you start to understand about spiritualism and growing in. So I'm listening as well, just because they'll tell me things as I'm working.
Anything for me, hon?
Not yet, hon. You know, and
purple heart, white heart, red heart.
I always ask for hearts just so I can see who's in the chat then. So you're looking like, you know, your late 40s around, and then your life progression around there, and being a parent or drug abuse and stuff like that. and then you go up and you come into your 60s, your early 50s to your late 60s, and then you learn about being an old person and independence, losing your independence or dementia, and you're kind of learning about diseases, and you'll learn that in your 40s as well, obviously. I mean, you can learn it younger and younger, but I like to think that as you get older, sometimes you get different diseases,
Yeah.
as you get older. I've just not the night with the book.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. And then you get to obviously you get to your late 80s and so on, and what you learn around there again is losing other loved ones, brothers, sisters, mothers, dads, and stuff like that. I know you can learn it at a younger age, but it's just all about the progression, really. And then there, for me, then once you get to once you've kind of learnt all them lessons, in your older age, the next life you'll come back to is you'll come back as a baby, but you'll come back as a medium. And then you'll learn to be a spiritualist medium, and you'll come back and you'll learn to give messages, i.e., as in like I do, or through cards, or through tarot, ruins and ribbons, and you'll learn to kind of not be so self-centered, and you'll learn to progress as giving evidence and helping people move on, like I try to do, and other mediums that I know that try to do. Again,
Another question.
once
So, like, back in the day, the life expectancy was like you'd be lucky if you hit 50.
if you hit 50, yeah.
So, how would you progress from being back in the day?
Because that's why your soul waits so many years to come back. You don't have to come back straight away. You could wait 300 years, 500 years in human time. Again, there's no such thing as time over there. But I'll talk about that in a minute. So yeah, it's all about how fast or how many life lessons you want to learn. You don't have to come back as a child 97 times. You could come back and live up to the age of 10, but experience like having cancer and surviving, or leukemia and surviving, in the same life. Like when they say, bloody hell, that kid's unlucky, he's had leukemia, then he's had this, and then he's had that, and he's had that, but he's fought and survived. He's learning all those lessons in one go, so they're trying to learn as many lessons as they can in that child range. And then when you go into teens, then you get them kind of, again, you get those energies, or they might survive a car crash, and then so and so and so and so, and you think, bloody hell, they're lucky. It's not luck, it's just that's their pathway. They've come back to learn 3 or 4 lessons, 5 lessons, whatever it is. So it's just kind of looking at it like that. And then obviously the life progression, as technology's got better, we've kind of lived longer. So coming back as an older spirit like myself, I've lived many lives, because my soul is old. My body aches like I'm 75. So I've always said I'm never coming back, even before I was a medium and coming to mediumship. I've always said to my mum, I only come back for you, and I'm not doing it again. This is my last time. I'm staying in the spirit world from now on. So yeah, once you've kind of lived all them lives and you've got enough life experience within learning lessons, I do believe that you then come back as a medium yourself to help other people progress and learn and try and be better. And then once you've done that, maybe once or twice, depending on, again, how many lessons you want to learn, you just move up to the top of the triangle, which is where you get to stay in the spirit world, but then you become a spirit guide. Let me write it down here. And you become a spirit guide for somebody, whether it be a main guide or just somebody that steps in and helps them learn their symbols and signs and helps them progress as a person. So yeah, I just think once you reach the 7th level and you've learnt your principles, and you've done all the learning, you can just come back as somebody's spirit guide again, a main, or just somebody who steps in for a year or 2 and gives them guides and symbols. And then you go on to help somebody else, and so on and so on, and you don't have to come back. Again, you could choose to come back, but I think once you get to that 7th level, again, I'm not saying it takes 1 year. In human times, it will take a long time, but you will get there, and I feel that everybody will get there because there's just more and more souls being born each time, coming back to the earth plane wanting to learn. So yeah, that's my pyramid, and we'll do a little bit of a design hopefully, and I can make it understand a little bit clearer. So, but that's just kind of what I believe, and what I've always kind of believed, that there's 7 levels, there's 7 principles, and once we lived enough lives and we've learnt enough lessons, we can choose whether to come back or not. And I feel if you do come back, you'll always come back as a medium, because your soul never forgets, it just learns. Which is why when you can step away from spiritualism for 4 or 5 years, you don't have to start at the start. You'll pick it up from where you was. Spirit will just help you remember where you got to, your symbols and your signs. And it didn't take me long, because again, like I said, I stepped away for 18 months, but it took me maybe three weeks to get my confidence back and get back into the swing of how it worked. And then obviously doing TikTok and going to Circle, it's just built up. And I'm not back where I was, but I know I'm a lot further down the road than I was 6 months ago. So yeah, that's my pyramid, and that's what I personally believe. Again, you talk to another medium, they might say that's a crock of shit, and that's totally their opinion, and it's valid.
We all have different ways of working at the end of the day.
Of course we do. Right, guys, I think we're just going to leave it there with those questions. Again, I do appreciate them. These are just my opinions, and Liam and Brandon's input is just our opinion. Please don't take it as gospel. Again, if somebody else has a different opinion, you know, you are welcome to it. These are just what people ask me, and these are my thoughts. So, well, thank you for listening and tuning in. But from me, peace out.
See you later, guys.
Thank you very much. Take care.
Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe.
Like, comment and subscribe.
Absolutely.
Share as well, please, guys.
And we'll see you later.